The Eastern Division champion New York Mets.
A cool, breezy evening at Shea Stadium in New York as the Reds and Mets will wind up the second of a two-game series. And the Reds, of course, sitting all alone atop the National League West. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom Brenneman along with Johnny Bench and JB. I think the one thing that stands out about the Reds' 15-10 record so far, 9-6 on the road. They've been very impressive.
They really have, and they've seemed like they've played well for the last couple of years. But now the true test is coming, Tommy. This ball club kind of beaten up. Davis on the disabled list. Daniels out of the lineup. Winningham unable to play because of a sore wrist from last night. So now we're going to have to use some of the young people. We're going to have to use some of the veterans side by side, Rolando Rooms and Ken Griffey.
Tonight it'll be Ron Darling squaring off against left-hander Danny Jackson. We'll go to Johnny Bench's Insights, brought to you by LensCrafters.
Well, Danny needs to get off to a good start. It's so important for him to get by the first couple of innings. Then number 2, take advantage. Use the speed. They've got to use the speed. They've got to test Gary Carter. He's thrown well so far, but you got to go after him. Number 3, take advantage of all the offensive opportunities that you have. You may not get a lot of scoring opportunities, so you really got to make them count against this ball club. And Danny Jackson needs some runs. He needs to hold that club, which is a good offensive club tonight, to a low count for runs.
About Danny Jackson, he's made some changes in his windup. Those were talked about earlier in the week. It should be interesting to see how he pitches tonight.
We'll watch his stride. We'll watch his angle, see if he gets that arm up on top above the shoulders. If he is able to do that, keep control, he'll be successful.
Danny Jackson squaring off with Ron Darling. Johnny Bench will have the starting lineups in just a moment.
Today's game is brought to you by Budweiser Beechwood Aids for that clean, crisp taste.
So taking the field, and now to take a look at the Cincinnati starting lineup, Johnny Bench.
Well, get your scorecards out and your pencils ready, and you better buy a scorecard to know the players tonight, because we've made some changes tonight. For the Cincinnati Reds, leading off Rolando Rooms in center field. Chris Sabo bats second and third base. Barry Larkin is the shortstop, batting third. Paul O'Neill moves into the fourth spot. He'll be in right field. Todd Benzinger is at first base, batting fifth. Ken Griffey is in the lineup in left field. Jeff Reed bats seventh. He'll play catcher. Ron Oster is at second base, batting eighth. And Danny Jackson is on the mound for the Cincinnati Reds. And they will face Ron Darling. And Ron Darling, record this year of 1-3, 7-4 lifetime versus the Reds. Won 17 ball games last year, lost only 9, and he was 8-4 the second half, and his ERA up over 4. So second part of the 88 season, and this up to this point, he's had his troubles.
Rolando Rooms, the first pitch hitter. Mookie Wilson in center field tonight for Lenny Dykstra, and hauls it in, one away. Want to remind you, this copyrighted telecast comes to you through the courtesy publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds is prohibited. The announcers on this telecast are employed by Multimedia Broadcasting with the approval of the Cincinnati Reds. One out in the top half of the first. Here's Sabo. Shows signs of bunting, and count even, 1 ball, 1 strike. Low, 2-1. Chris was hitless last night. However, he did drive in what proved to be the game-winning run when he hit a sacrifice fly in the 7th, allowing Dave Collins to score from third base. And Barry Larkin followed with another sacrifice fly, scoring Cal Daniels, proved to be the difference. 3-2 to count to Sabo. Strikeout for Darling. Darling seems to be the guy that's forgotten more times than not when you talk about this New York staff, but he is awfully, awfully tough.
Well, he really is the third starter, you might say, although, you know, you look at Gooden and then you look at Cone, and then you figure that Darling would be third. They've had to move Fernandez into the rotation. Aguilera's out of there. Darling, of course, has had his running feuds over the past couple of years with manager Dave Johnson, but still doesn't prevent him from going out there every day. He makes some mistakes. I think that's his biggest problem. He sometimes kind of tries to be a finesse pitcher rather than using that fastball. He's got a good repertoire of pitches: the fastball, curveball, split finger, and the slider. And with Gary Carter behind the plate, they've got a veteran battery.
2-0 the count to the Red shortstop Larkin. Now 3 balls and no strikes. It's interesting to say that. Got a chance to talk with Eric Davis a little bit prior to the game. And he had said when Darling started in his career, he just threw it and said, I dare you to hit it. And now he's trying to pick the corners, and it's gotten him into some trouble.
Well, he's not a Tom Seaver who can afford to do that, or a Nolan Ryan, or even a Dwight Gooden. He really has to be selective in his pitches.
Larkin a good night last night, had 2 RBIs. Inside corner. Count is full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball out of play, first base side, so the count holds 3-2. Berry hitting at .303, has 2 home runs, has driven in 12. Three-two pitch. And again, Larkin fouls it back. If Berry should happen to reach, he will be followed by right fielder Paul O'Neill. Mookie coming hard in center and makes the catch. Larkin may have hit ball 4. Nothing across for the Reds in the top half of the first.
Johnson, Timmy Tuffle, Darryl Strawberry, Kevin McReynolds, Greg Jeffries, Gary Carter, Kevin Elster, and Ron Darling. We go through these quickly because we want to hear from Scotty Breeden. And we look quickly at the defense. Griffey Rooms, O'Neill in the outfield, Sable, Larkin, Oster, Benzinger in the infield, Jeff Reed behind the plate, Danny Jackson on the mound. And this is what Scotty Breeden had to say about tonight's pitcher.
Well, we felt that Danny was losing a little bit of leverage, so we try to get him to stay back a little bit. And when he transfers, it's great to stay closed and get the foot down in a closed position and then turn toward home plate. And that way he gets full maximum effort and gets full generation of power.
Okay, we'll watch, see if he gets his knees closed in the short strike. Good there. He'll have good movement on the fastball. So far, Jeff Reed can't handle it.
1-0 to the Mets center fielder Mookie Wilson. Lenny Dykstra got the start last night. And Wilson tonight. 2-0. And that missed inside. 3 balls and no strikes.
It's foreign, so it'll feel different. It'll take a while to adjust to throwing strikes.
And there's the first one. 3 balls, 1 strike to Mookie Wilson. Working very quickly is Jackson as we get started in the bottom half of the first, and now Wilson wants to step away for a moment. Count is full. Sabo, and 1 away.
Let's take a look at Danny Jackson. Didn't work the first 3, but he came back with 3 strong pitches and gets the ground ball. All right, right here we stop, and you see him staying in there. Good short stride. He lands not on his heel, but on his toe where he's supposed to, and that gives him the leverage. What it means is that that arm is coming through. He is not late with it, and he's coming over in time. Everything is in sequence. That was a good move there.
What was he doing before?
He was throwing that leg open. He was striding so far. We talked about it in San Diego, about him landing on his heel. When he does that, the arm drops underneath that shoulder. As a result, he doesn't get too much on it. It just stays flat through the hitting area. Made a good pitch there, just didn't get the call. Down has not been the call so far for Bruce Fleming, and he made a real good pitch there on Howard Johnson. And, you know, you need to get some calls like that.
Johnson off to a blazing start, although the Reds pitching staff certainly did a number on him last night. He went hitless. Came into the ball game with a 9-game hitting streak. 1 ball, 1 strike to Howard Johnson. Trying to work the outside corner, missed it. 2 balls, 1 strike. Tim Tuffle getting a rare start over at first base tonight.
Few at bats, and gives Keith Hernandez a little rest against the tough left-hander.
2-1 pitch. He's around the plate. Missed a little low. Now it's 3-1.
You know, sometimes when your ball is moving so much that the hitters really aren't that aggressive at swinging at it. They're trying to pick it up rather than being aggressive. They're trying to be patient. Almost works against a pitcher sometimes to have too good of stuff.
And there's ball 4. First runner in the ball game to reach base. As Johnson moves to first, here's Tim Tuffle. Well, the Mets are certainly aware, Johnny, what kind of problems Jackson has been going through, and that may have something to do with their having a little bit more patience tonight.
Well, they look at the sheets, they see how Danny is faring as far as walks and hits per inning, and then they go about having to do it. 15 base on balls in 34 innings, so they know his control is somewhat off. And when he's gotten in trouble from being behind. They talked about it in Philadelphia. Chris James in particular, and Mike Schmidt talking about he was still throwing good. He was just getting in trouble, getting behind, and then he was having to come in with a pitch.
1-0 to Tim Tuffle. Hitting at .297. Has driven in 3. Jackson behind one more time. 2 balls, no strikes. Keep an eye on Johnson over at first. He can run. .2-0 pitch. There's a strike. Johnson certainly doesn't look much like a base stealer, but the numbers do not lie. 55 stolen bases and 72 attempts over the last couple of years.
30-30. And now a perfect time to run, hit and run.
Danny knows it.
He was a 2020 man last year. That seems like a terrible year after going 36 home runs, 32 stolen bases in 87.
2-1 pitch. Johnson staying put, and Tuffle got a piece of it. Count even. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's what upsets a hitter, is sometimes getting the pitch out of the strike zone, wanting to commit early and getting the head of the bat out there and just getting a piece of it.
Tuffle at one time platooned at second base with now departed Wally Backman. Greg Jeffries will probably be there for a long time to come, barring injury. Two balls, 2 strikes. Johnson at first, bottom half of the first. No score. Bounced off the plate, rolls foul. Still 2-2.
Umpires for tonight's game: Bruce Fleming behind the plate, Terry Tata at first, Dana DeMuth out at second, and Steve Ripley. Same crew. They work clockwise. If you ever wondered, I'm sure you know by now, third to second to first to home, then back to third. That's round the horn.
Runner going. They won't get 2. Won't get any. Ronnie tried to sneak his foot in there, but Johnson beat him to the bag.
Let's have a look. Ball bounced just high enough and hard enough to be in back of second base. Ronnie had to go, and he was trying to make the stop. He more than likely would have had a chance at getting Tuffle at first. One reason he had problems was Johnson was on the move. Tuffle, not known as a very quick runner. Here, see, Ronnie right there has the play to first.
That'll bring up Darryl Strawberry. Had a gift inside the park home run last night. That was 2 nights in a row now. Strawberry's homered. 1 ball and no strikes. Johnson at second, Tuffle at first. Jackson got him with a hook.
Good slider there, and of course that's the pitch he needs to work on, and of course we hope that will be affected by what he has changed. We'll get a chance to find out what Scotty Breeden has to say in a moment when we find a little time. Right now, too important of a matchup.
1-1 pitch. And again, Strawberry swings and misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It was interesting, Tommy. You talked about his inside the park home run last night. He's 3 for 4. I mean, you'd almost look up and say, well, that should be a base hit if, you know, Oster couldn't get the guy at second last night. If you're going to be generous about scoring. And they say that Red Foley is not a generous scorekeeper.
Jackson came back with a fastball there. Count goes to 2-2. Yeah, that is hard to believe. No hit on that?
Well, as I said, Ronnie Oster probably would have thrown out Tim Tuffle had he gone that way.
Well, now Danny has gone full on Darryl Strawberry. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Good pickup by Jeff Reed right there on a very tough slider down. Danny is really throwing well right now. He's having problems getting it in the strike zone, and Bruce Fleming's got a small strike zone. All you want right here is a strike him out, throw him out, double play. Will they run?
And got him swinging.
That was a very, very good pitch. And Danny Jackson, of course, with the good fastball, also with the hard slider. And with this change of motion, we had a chance to ask Scotty Breeden how it will affect the slider.
Well, the slider, again, is a power pitch, and it's a pitch that you have to get out front and stay on top of the ball. And Danny showed signs the last time he threw on the side here and worked. He was very consistent with it, and I feel very confident that he'll take it right into the ballgame tonight.
So far, so good.
Here's Kevin McReynolds. Jackson misses inside, ball 1. McReynolds already with 13 RBIs this season. He is one of only 3 players in Major League history that have had 3 seasons of 90-plus RBIs and never reached the century mark.
No, he's a great cripple hitter, too. You get behind him 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. He really has an advantage. He's kind of like Tony Perez, who drove in all those runs, and it seemed like every year you could just say he was going to drive in 90 or more. I'll take a guy like that.
2-0 the count to him, and now 3 balls, no strikes.
Not a bad position to walk a guy. I mean, so many times Tom Seaver looked and see who's on deck. Catcher would look on deck. I'd look on deck and see if I got Jeffries or McReynolds. If I don't get off to a good start, he's going to have to hit my best pitch. I'm not going to give in to a guy like Reynolds. I'd rather face Jeffries even with the bases loaded.
There's strike 1, 3-1. Should be interesting to see what Jackson throws here.
It'll be hard.
So now they're loaded.
The second baseman, number 9, Greg Jeffries.
Bottom half of the first, Howard Johnson. He walked, now stands at third. Tim Tuffle stands at second base, and over at first is Kevin McReynolds. Rookie Greg Jeffries stepping in there. Missed inside, ball 1.
Bruce doesn't act interested in calling strikes.
That was one that may have been out of the strike zone, but Jeffries took a hack at it. 1-1.
Well, the youngster has been swinging more aggressively of late. That ball up in his eyes, and it seemed like last night he swung a lot of pitches up there either. I mean, he just sees it well, and he knows he can get on top of some of those pitches, and of course the high fastball is always tough, you know, but he's going to be aggressive. Danny needs guys like Jeffries to swing at pitches like that.
1-1. Broken bat. And that'll do it, and that's a good sign of the old Danny Jackson.
Thank you.
Breaking a bat. Mets threaten but come away empty. After 1, we're scoreless at Shea. Last season, jam some batters and break some bats.
Called sawing it off. He went after the high fastball. Maybe he knew he might be getting a pitch like this. He said, whoa. And watch Jackson. He has to get out. He has to scoot. The barrel goes right underneath, and a good strong throw. We like to see that too from Chris Sabo.
Paul O'Neill, then Todd Benzinger and Ken Griffey in the red second. O'Neill dips under the 300 mark for the first time this season as he goes to 299 when hitless last night. Pretty rough night for Paul. Struck out 3 times. Going to try and get back on track with a right-hander out there tonight. 3-0.
There's certain hitters he goes after very aggressively, and others he tries to be very passive. Seems
Now,
like 3-0. Bruce just automatically says it's close enough strike.
Bring it up. 3-1. And O'Neill barely got a piece of that one. 3 balls, 2 strikes. One of the stars of last night's ball game, Todd Benzinger, hit a 2-run home run in the bottom half of the first, or top half of the first rather, off Sid Fernandez to stake the Reds to a 3-0 lead. 3-2 coming to O'Neill. And outside, ball 4. First Red to reach base.
Number 25, the first baseman, Todd Benzinger.
Mets manager Davey Johnson had a tremendous career here as manager of the New York Mets so far. Has never won less than 90 games, and the figure 90 was in his first year. Since then, 98, 108, 92, and 100 last year as they won the Eastern Division for the second time in his tenure.
That's hard to believe. To win that many ball games. 90 and 92 are squeakers, but the 98, 100, 108 better win. Got a tough league.
Runner going. And Carter's throw not near the mark. O'Neill will move on to third. And the Reds with a runner in scoring position. That is O'Neill's 4th stolen base.
Number 2 in our insights, run. Stood up and threw straight down into the ground a tailing sinking ball that got by both Elster and Jeffries. Error on the catcher.
So O'Neill stands at third. Benzinger ahead in the count. 1 ball, no strikes. Could get the first run of the night home with a sacrifice fly. 2-0. Boy, the Jets weren't around much last night, but they are roaring in tonight.
Well, the wind's blowing in, Tommy. Tonight.
Right side of the infield. It'll get a run home. Benzinger is retired. 1-0 Cincinnati as O'Neill scores.
So far, Oster, Mailer, Perez, Barry Larkin, and Ken Griffey in the lineup tonight, basically because he was not scheduled. They were going to put Winningham. Winningham got hurt. He had to go out. Rooms finally went in. Griffey goes in for Daniels. I should say Griffey was scheduled to go into the left. They decided to move Rooms into center when Winningham could not swing in batting practice.
Griffey only 2 hits on the season. However, both have been home runs. Got his first start of the year last Sunday in Philadelphia and hit that home run off the foul pole at Veterans Stadium, and then the other night in Montreal came on in the pinch hitting role, hit one out in a 6-4 loss by the Reds. 2-1. Now 3 balls and 1 strike. Though Griffey only has 2 hits, he's hit the ball hard this season. Lifts this one third base side into the seats. 3-2. Three-2 pitch to Griffey. This will stay in play. Elster a long chase and will not come up with it. You could tell he was confused as soon as he started taking off.
Well, he looked at the stands, he looked for his location, then he looked up again, and all of a sudden the ball moved, and the Mets have an error. And Kevin Elster has committed an error for overrunning it, folks, and you have seen it. That has broken his own record. 84 games without an error. And he looks at Ron Darling and said, sorry, and Ron said, are you kidding me? You've picked me up the last 3 games I've been in. And of course, this is the toughest time of night, just before it gets dark. The catcher always tells the infielders, help me out on balls behind the plate.
Griffey towards Jeffries. 2 gone in the inning. We'll quickly step out for station identification along the Reds Television Network.
Your #1 sports station in Cincinnati, WLWT.
1-0 Reds. Paul O'Neill walked his lead off the top half of the 2nd inning, stole a base. Gary Carter-Stroh went into center field to allow him to move to 3rd. Then Todd Benzinger got an RBI, hit it towards the right side of the infield, allowing O'Neill to score. That's where we stand 1-0.
I owe an apology. I jumped too quickly. The first error was given to Gary Carter. So that is not an error on that play. The streak continues. Why don't you help me out on that?
That's a good question. Line towards the left. McReynolds. And that's the inning. Reds come up with 1. And after 1.5, they lead the New York.
Ron, you got to take some lessons from our guy in Philly, man. Chevy is... look at the people behind him.
They don't know what to think.
No, they have no idea.
Gary Carter followed by Kevin Elster and then Ron Darling in the bottom half of the 2nd inning. Reds scored 1 in the top half of the inning after the Mets had threatened. Although did not get a base hit, they put 3 men on and left 3 men on against Danny Jackson in the 1st. Carter has really had a tough time, batting .125. Missed the last few games when he tried to throw out Ron Gant stealing a base in that series against Atlanta. And on the follow-through, hit his thumb on Lonnie Smith's helmet. And they've got him played to pull Oster right behind second base, 1 out. Talked about scouts last night. Of course, they've been doing that a while on Carter.
Yeah, the tendency for Gary is to pull the ball. He very seldom goes the other way unless he's really hitting the ball well, and he's not been able to adjust. If he were able to go the other way, there wouldn't be any problem with his making contact, but he really pulls out of there. That big part of his body, his rear end, his body, his hips don't get much rotation. I'm surprised he hasn't gone into a crowd sport.
Jackson starts off Elster with a strike. Elster at 247 has driven in 6. Towards Larkin. And a good throw to Benzinger, 2 away. Broken back.
Number 12, Ron Darling.
So far, of the 5 Mets batters which he has retired, 4 have gone out via the ground ball, and he struck out Strawberry. Don't count him out. Good play by Ronnie Oster to gun down Darling. 1-2-3 inning for Jackson. We'll go to the 3rd, 1-0.
Bill Robinson trying to help Terry Tata. That didn't work. Look how far he goes, and look how he's able to get something on this. We talked about his arm last night.
He is something to watch with a glove. 1 ball, no strikes to Oster. Had his troubles at the plate. 173. And it goes to 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good look from Ronnie from third base. We'll just ISO a swing for you.
Off the fist. Johnson has a beat on it. 1 away.
Number 20, the pitcher, Danny Jackson.
That'll bring up pitcher Danny Jackson. DJ yet to get a hit this season. away, ball one. And Darling gets him swinging and missing. 1 ball and 1 strike. Took a good rip there, but it'll drop to the seats down the first base side. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Top half of the third. Cincinnati leads it 1-0. Ron Darling going back to work, 1 and 2. And now it's even 2-2. Jackson to it. 2 down.
Center fielder, Rolando Ruiz.
Second strikeout of the evening for Ron Darling, and for the second time tonight, Rolando Ruiz led off the ball game, hit the first pitch to center field. Mookie Wilson hauled it in. A little bit low, ball one. Mookie shaded a bit towards right field in center. Good knockdown by Johnson. Elster won't even try and make the play. That ball was hit very sharply.
Orlando's been impressive. He's been very aggressive coming up to the plate, waiting for a good pitch to hit this ball towards the end of the bat, but still with plenty on it. The diving Johnson gets a glove on it. Lee May coaching at first.
Rolando Ruiz can steal a base. Last season stole 15 while in AAA with Iowa, the Cubs farm team. Season before that, though, he stole 32.
Yeah, Tommy's going to have to use a lot of hit and runs and some speed. They're going to have to challenge Carter.
Sabo takes strike 1.
For the 4th game, Tommy Helms managing and replacing the ailing Pete Rose. We hope that he's feeling better. I did not get a report, but I'm sure he's hoping some improvement. So you see Dr. Marty.
Good off-speed pitch right there from Darling, 0-2.
That's going to be his success, is able to, if you get ahead of him or he's trying to guess with him, the deception that he will show with his pitching motion, able to take something off of it.
Sabo went down on strikes in the first. Darling 2/3 of the way there right now. Runner going, and the pitch out is there. Carter got it. Nothing across for the Reds, although Ruiz got the base hit. We'll go to the bottom half of the third still. Mookie Wilson leads it off and takes ball 1. Danny got him to ground out to Chris Sabo in the first. Good pitch there in the inside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wilson has had some good seasons here with the Mets. Towards Ronnie, that's automatic. 1 gone. Let's go back and take a look at that throw from Gary Carter to gun down Rolando Ruiz in the top half of the third.
Well, they must have picked up a sign for the Reds, because this is a pitch out on 0-2 pitch. Of course, you've got the luxury of doing that. Plenty of time, go right on the money. No room at the end.
Gary Carter. His days of throwing runners out don't come as often as they used to.
Well, his knee problems have sort of helped him come around. He is starting to get stronger as far as his legs, and he's getting a few more days off, which has helped his throwing. He was 8 for 18 prior to this evening.
High chopper. Another good throw from Sabo. 2 away. Started to come around with that throw. Of course, had some. And appears to have conquered any problems he may have had with that throw. Of course, his shoulder still bothers him somewhat.
First
Well,
baseman,
he's showing
Tim Tupple.
fewer and fewer signs of that when he makes throws like that, like he did last night on the double play. And I think he's just finally able just to go ahead and stretch through that and try to build that arm up and stretch it up. I left. I'm sure Larry Starr is working with it.
Jim Tuffle takes strike one from Jackson, and he's starting to really get things together. Rocky first due to some control problems. Didn't miss by much. Possibly could have had a call here and there. But after loading the bases, he got Jeffries to end the inning with a ground ball towards Sabo. And since then, he's been perfect. 2-1. There's a nice pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Location good, Danny Jackson.
Jackson glaring in at Jeff Reed. Here comes a 2-2.
Take a look at Danny real quickly. Staying tight, keeping that knee back. Then it explodes, and then he's able to drive off of there.
Got Tuffle. Second inning in a row. Jackson's knocked him down 1-2-3. Fourth inning, and Johnny, so far so good for Danny Jackson. Looks like a different pitcher than Sunday in Philly.
It certainly does, Tommy. And Danny right now keeping together, keeping the knee closed, keeping the gate closed, and then following through, the arm able to come over the top and really get some snap on the ball. All the outs, either strikeouts or groundouts. That's what we're looking for.
Now the Reds going to try and go to work on offense. They've gotten one, but like to have more. Darling misses to Chris Sabo. Ball 1. Chris was at the plate when Rolando Rooms was gunned down in the 3rd inning. And instead of being behind in the count 0-2 as he was then, he's now at 2-0. A little bit better situation. Smacks it hard, but Wilson is there. First out of the inning.
The shortstop, Barry Larkin.
Barry Larkin 0 for 1. Great location on that pitch. Bit the outside corner, strike 1. Barry reached out for it. Carter giving chase. And off the top of the Mets dugout. Larkin started play tonight at 303. 2 home runs, 12 RBIs. And choking up on the bat. Maybe that's why. Base hit center field. Second hit of the ball game for Cincinnati.
And with Larkin aboard, let's look at some scores around the National League. Last night, the Dodgers win. They're tied for second coming in the day. Now the Padres have dropped 2.5 back as the Cubs shut them out 4-0. And Dawson is Montreal leading Houston 4-1. Last night, an extra inning tilt. Spike Owens hit a home run to win it. And Atlanta and Philadelphia, they have started, but no score. And of course, later tonight, St. Louis at Los Angeles.
O'Neill takes ball 1. Keep an eye on Larkin. Reds 1 for 2 in the stolen base category so far tonight. You got to believe a good chance Larkin might be in motion here shortly.
That was the good move, and that's a balk. And he had 3 umpires calling it.
Here comes Davy Johnson.
They said don't argue about it. You cannot argue about it, Davy. There's no argument in balks. You're going to get thrown out if you stand out here and argue. Bruce Fleming talking to him right there. And he held up his hands. Dana DeMuth held up his hands, and so did Terry Tata. And it wasn't the fact that he didn't come to a stop, just the fact that he didn't go over to first base. He didn't step over there, I would assume. It's the only reason you can call a balk, unless he broke his knee or something. Watch it. That's across his body. 3 umpires, I don't think they all looked and found the same reason for it.
The only other time tonight Cincinnati has had a runner in scoring position, he made it home. See if they can do the same here. Now 2-0 to Paul O'Neill.
I'd like to see that again almost.
O'Neill with 22 RBIs. That leads the club in 4th in the National League. Now 3-0.
Well, they talked about last night Sid Fernandez concentration might have been broken with the balk call because he gave up the home run to Todd Benzinger. Of course, you do look for excuses.
3-0 pitch. And there is ball 4.
First baseman, Todd Benzinger.
Take a look at the balk again. May have upset real time. Down. And I just assume that it has to be a jump step or you have to step over to throw. And Dave Johnson did not see the same thing the umpires saw. And he did not get to plead his case very long as well.
Todd Benzinger with the opportunity here to knock in a run or two. Larkin stands at second. O'Neill is at first. Only 1 gone here in the top of the 4th. And Darling's starting to have a few control problems, and that is very unlike him.
Well, that's the one thing Dave Johnson and he argued about, was the fact that he nibbled too much. But again, he tried to revert back from just throwing it and say, here, hit it.
1-0 the count to Benzinger. And now 2-0. Benzinger has been much more productive from the left side rather than the right. Left-handed, he's hitting .315. Right-handed only at 143. Odds in the Reds' favor here. 2-0 pitch. Fouled it off. 2-1.
He was looking for a 3-runner tonight. Last night, of course, only a 2-run homer. We were wrong on the Chiron. Cal Daniels had scored on the balk prior to that.
Barry at second. Paul O'Neill at first. 1 out, top half of the 4th. Reds lead at 1-0. 2 balls and 1 strike to Benzinger. Reds trying to add to that 1-0 lead. And Darling taking a lot of time out there. He really doesn't like that low strike.
No, and Benzinger doing an excellent job. Patience. And of course, he's always been a disciplined hitter. That was the talk about him in the American League, being a disciplined hitter. And that's a situation where a lot of hitters would really be aggressive and turn everything loose.
3-1 pitch. And again, fouls it back, so we go full 3-2. Darling's control last season easily the best he had ever displayed. Walked only 60 batters in 240 and 2/3 innings. So far tonight, he's walked a couple, and he's in trouble in the top half of the 4th. Seems to be rattled a little bit by Larkin out there at second base.
That or a new set of signs, because you know he's worked with Gary Carter an awful lot. You would assume right there that there wouldn't be any problem with the indicator, but they sometimes change series of signs against certain teams if they think a team has their signs.
3-2 pitch. Runners are going, and base hit center field. Larkin will come home. 2-0 Reds. Benzinger drives in run number 11 for the season. The patience paid off.
And O'Neill stays at second base to go to third. On the move. That ball is down, actually out of the strike zone. It was the off-speed pitch. Decided to take something off of it. Mookie right there, and it looked like it was going to be a straight hop to Mookie. The Reds up by 2.
Should correct myself. That's Benzinger's second RBI tonight, so that gives him 12 for the season. Griffey takes ball 1. Two 2-0 Cincinnati, and the Reds looking for more off Ron Darling and the Mets. O'Neill at second, Benzinger at first with the RBI single. Griffey had 1-0. There go the runners. They have the hit and run on. Enjoy heat. Bud Light's always a favorite with Reds fans.
There's a favorite too, and another favorite at the plate. And Tommy Helms getting these guys moving. He respected Griffey's ability to make contact.
1-1 pitch. Decided to hold him back that time. Now the count in Griffey's advantage at 2 balls, 1 strike. And he hits a fly ball right field. Strawberry with a good arm. O'Neill not even going to think about it. Jeff 0 for 1 in this one. Driven in 10 runs this season and still hitting at .328. Darling and Carter will regroup one more time. They've got their act together. And here comes the first pitch to Reed. Ball 1.
Reed's career best. 3 hits in the game 4 times. So big night with 5 hits. He drove in 3 runs in that game. Lenny Harris had a home run last night for Nashville. As the AAA ball club won. Off to a slow start, now improving.
Jack Armstrong will get one more start, and then more than likely Harris will be recalled to join the Reds. And Reed lifts a fly ball. But Wilson with plenty of room. He'll do it. But the Reds get another run on 2 base hit. Danny Jackson throwing blanks at the Mets thus far. Going to the bottom half of the 4th. And another fine play by Ron Oster. Making them look routine tonight.
A lot of ground balls and maybe a jammer right here. Oster, this is a little simpler. He says, I don't have to run quite as far, but I got a different guy running who can get down there in a hurry.
1 up, 1 down. That'll bring up Kevin McReynolds. Jackson misses low and inside. Ball 1. Reynolds walked back in the 1st. There's a strike, 1 and 1. McReynolds, like Howard Johnson, had a hitting streak stop last night, although his was 6. Saves a long throw and again on the money, 2 down.
That was the first time he'd been to Kansas City again. 3-1. The Indians on the warpath. Toronto leading California 2-0. I thought, well, they've changed some teams around then. Milwaukee and Minnesota, they're scoreless in the 2nd. Boston, Chicago scoreless in the 1st. As Jackson works to Craig Jeffries. Texas and New York, 0-0. The Rangers winning last night. And that'll wrap it up. Back in the 8th.
Another broken bat for Jeffries and another ground out. Jackson cruising right along so far. Still a long way to go, but it's 2-0 Reds.
Jeffries, I hope he has enough bats. I guess he got some new ones. He's going to check it out. Ball hits on the heel of the glove, and good range by Chris, but he's got both hands on it, finds it, throws it out, throws him out.
End of that play, Jeffries a little upset. He says he broke another bat of mine. That's 2 in a row. 1-1 the count to Ron Ozzie. Good off-speed pitch there from Darling. 1-2. Ronnie did not start last night's ball game. Manny Trio got the call. He did come on in a pinch hitting role. Goes down swinging.
Defense, though, A+.
That'll bring up Jackson. Still looking for his first hit of the year.
Well,
but he's also looking to snap a 5-game losing streak on the mound. I think he'll take that one first. 1-1. What a competitor this guy is. You know, this has been especially miserable for him.
I was very disappointed to have a year like he did and have it overshadowed the last month of the season by Orel.
Looking to lay it down. 2-2.
You cannot do much better than Danny Jackson. And of course, the talk just is about Jackson and Hershiser. David Cone last year put some numbers up that will impress everybody if they'll just stop and look at it a little longer.
20-3.
20-3. Now that's not shabby.
No. Matter of fact, that's right serious. 2-2 the count to Danny Boy. 4th strikeout for Darling.
Center fielder, Rolando Rooms.
Back-to-back strikeouts here in the top half of the 5th for Ron Darling and the Mets. Rolando Rooms will come back up there. He's 1 for 2. 1-0. Doesn't look like he's intimidated much to be up here, that's for sure. Johnson will handle it. And he has had all kinds of problems with that play this season.
You know, from shortstop, he makes the throw without any problem, but over at third, they say he hasn't been able to gun it. He was going to show him right there he could gun it. Of course, he had all the shoulder problems last year. Rooms hustling, smooth pickup. He said, I'm going to turn it loose. Uh-oh, he said, uh-oh, I've thrown the slider. He called for the fastball, and I crossed him up. I threw him the slider. And Rooms very aggressively hustles to second.
Ojo thought he had gotten over those problems as of late. It was back on April 17th when he finally made a clean throw over there. The fans gave him a standing ovation. He said he'll remember that as much as he will any curtain call. He took it in a positive way, he said.
Well, he really did, and he took it in a good manner, and he knows he's struggling, but veterans like that say, I'm going to continue to do it. No place to hide.
Runner in scoring position is Rooms. Sabo swings and misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, he's had a lot of hitters out front. There's a guy you really have to wait back on. It's Darling, but he's not going to give you much over the plate.
Sabo put a charge into it. McReynolds going back. He'll have room, and that'll do it for the Reds. We'll go to the bottom half of the 5th. Jackson looking closer than Ron Darling. Ball 1. It's hard to believe that just in 1986, Gary Carter drove in 105 runs for the Mets and was batting cleanup. Well, that's a home run. 2-1 ball game, or is it? No, it held up. Looked like he put a charge into it.
If you're watching the monitor, you look at it and you say, kiss it goodbye, but that is the power shortage. And of course, the wind, see how he sort of backs himself off. See how he tucks those arms? The big part of the shoulders and the hips just really don't drive. Griff says there's no problem.
Carter goes down. He's the first out of the inning. And Elster takes strike one.
First fly ball out of the game for the New York Mets.
Elster hit a ground ball towards Barry Larkin's way in the second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Still around that plate. He missed a little low. 2-1. Danny's not fooling around out there. He's ready to go, waiting for Elster to step right back in the box.
Got a job to do, a mission.
2-2.
It's hard to believe the Reds have played 4 less games than the Padres.
And Darling 0 for 1. And Danny right back at it. Starts him with strike one. One side. 1 ball, 1 strike. Darling was the guy Ron Oster made that real nice play on behind second base. And he'll get another chance. 1, 2, 3 inning for Danny Jackson.
What has happened is that Kevin Elster was kicked out of the game, and I guess after Elster struck out, he'd had some words to say from the dugout for Bruce Fremming, and Bruce Fremming didn't like it. So as a result, he's out of the game. Johnson comes out to argue, and there are going to be a couple of defensive changes. Dave Magadan will go play third, and they'll move Howard Johnson over to shortstop. So 85 games in a row for Kevin Elster without an error.
He is finished indeed for the evening. Bruce Fremming had heard enough.
Well, he let Johnson have a lot of say-so. Then he must have got personal. He threw him out twice, as a matter of fact. Threw him out, and then he threw him out again.
Big breaking ball there to Larkin. Strike one. Magadan drawn in just a bit over at third base for the speedy Larkin.
Do you drop one down? I struck on Jamie Farr.
Oh,
dropped it on him. Klinger. A Toledo Mud Inn fan. Of course, Jamie Farr from Toledo has the golf tournament up there.
Oh, and 1 to count to Benzinger. Yes, he went. No balls, 2 strikes. O'Neill over at first. He has already stolen a base tonight. Carter's throw went into center field, allowing him to move on to third. And he eventually scored. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Darling has pitched well, giving up only 4 hits. Both these teams have been hot with the bat. The Reds hitting .306 for the last 8 games. The Mets .302 through their last 7.
1-2. It's inside. Carter thought about going down to first base with Tim Temple, but Paul did not have that big of a lead. Maybe something here. 2-2.
Doubt it.
Here goes a runner. And that is a double play. The strikeout on Benzinger. The throw out from Carter to shortstop Howard Johnson. Nothing across for the Reds. Move to the bottom half of the 6th. Still Jackson and the Reds 2-0.
And he's saying he didn't tag me, put the bag down, but then I stopped short of the bag. In fact, you could see Howard Johnson not sure. He was looking for some help. Let's take a look from this angle. The slide, he stopped short. See, he didn't tag him. He said, I'd look too good. Then Carter took off his hat to the crowd when they cheered so much for him for throwing him out.
Carter 2 out of 3 tonight. Swing and a miss by Mookie Wilson. Strike one. Mets faithful trying to strike up a rally. Jackson has really shut the door on him so far. And a base hit. Jackson had retired 13 in a row.
That the first hit of the evening for the Mets.
That'll bring up shortstop Howard Johnson. Wilson can run over at first base. Just missed inside, ball one. Last 3 seasons, Mookie has stolen 25, 21, and 15 respectively. Bottom half of the 6th. Reds lead 2-0. Mookie Wilson, a leadoff single to center. First hit of the ball game for New York. Now 2-0 to Johnson. Johnson steps back in the box as Wilson takes his lead at first. 2-0 pitch. There's the strike, 2-1.
Howard trying to change the rhythm of Danny Jackson. Just his helmet.
And Jackson keeping an eye on Mookie Wilson over at first base. 2-1.
Look at his eyes darting around, checking Bensinger. Not taking his eyes off very long of Danny Jackson.
Fouled back out of play. So Jackson evens up the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We'll take a break for stations to identify themselves along the Reds television network. Tom Brenneman along with Johnny Bench. Shea Stadium in New York. The Reds lead at 2-0. The Mets got their first hit off Danny Jackson to lead off here in the 6th inning. They're the beneficiary of that base hit, Mookie Wilson. 2-2 the count to Howard Johnson. And again, he hits it out of play into the seats. Count stays right there, 2-2. Johnson with good speed. He's going to be tough to double up. Have to hit it hard and right at somebody. Staying in there, 2-2. Johnson may be thinking fastball, maybe slider.
Well, he's got to be really waiting back now just to make contact because he's seen that hard slider in on his hands. He's fouled the fastball away on the outside part of the plate.
Inside, the count is full, 3-2. Got to be careful throwing that heat to Johnson. An excellent fastball hitter. 3-2 pitch, runner going. screamer foul. Third base side.
4:35 from the right side coming into tonight's ball game.
Where's his sweet spot?
Well, most left-handed hitters like the ball down and in. He's always been a pretty good high fastball hitter from the left side. Usually you find that for some reason. Just from the left-handed hitters, that's just the way they seem to see the ball better.
Runner going again, and that is ball 4. The 23rd of April. He went 7 against Houston. So almost 2 weeks have gone by. Not quite, but solid 10, 11 days since Jackson has gone this far. And Stanley's third walk tonight. That'll bring up Tupper. Base hit. Wilson the green light. It's a 2-1 ball game.
Always been a good first ball hitter. He got it over the strike zone, trying to get ahead. Tough, and Mookie with a great jump, and what a great turn around third. That is the way to do it right there, youngsters.
Still nobody out. 2-1 Cincinnati, bottom half of the 6th inning. Johnson at second, Tupper at first, Strawberry straight up. The first of 3 big outs this inning for Jackson.
Back-to-back. Solid back-to-back hitters. McReynolds, always the protector for Strawberry. Strawberry clears off a lot of the bases with home runs. That's why McReynolds has a tough time of driving in those 100 runs.
Another base hit. And another run for New York. We're all even at 2.
Again, first ball hitting, and that ball really high in the strike zone. Angle was cut down there. Got underneath that. That's why it stayed up. Take a look at that one more time. I'd like to see if he was overstriding again on that particular pitch. Scotty Breeden out just to give to Colby a chance. Late arm upstairs.
One out. We're tied at 2. Mets did not have a hit in the ball game coming into the 6th. They now have 3. Jeffries takes a strike. Kent Tekulve warming up in the Cincinnati bullpen. Let's have 2 aboard. 0-1 to Jeffries. Could be 2. Definitely got 1. But a good play by Larkin there.
McReynolds really runs well. And the high chopper towards second gives McReynolds plenty of time. The long throw by Oster. And Barry making sure that Tim Teufel doesn't stray too far around third.
So now runners at the corners. Teufel over at third. Jeffries at first. The catcher Gary Carter at the plate. Straight up and straight down to the seats. Carter 0 for 2 tonight. Jackson trying to bear down and keep it at an even keel, 2-2. Tim Tuffle over at third. Across the diamond, Greg Jeffries at first. 2-2 ball game. 0-1 the count to Gary Carter. This will be in play. Larkin making the call and the catch. But the Mets come up with 2 thanks to 3 base hits. We're even as we go to the 7th. As he takes the mound in the 7th inning. 2-2 ball game. Reds will send up Ken Griffey, followed by Jeff Reed, then Ron Oster. Going into the 7th inning has been pretty much routine for Ron Darling's entire career. He's worked 200+ innings every season he's been a Met. And last year in his 34 starts went at least to the 7th, and 25 of them. This guy's going to give you some quality innings. One ball, one strike. There's Reds general manager Murray Cook. Does he have a sport coat there over his Reds jacket?
Pretty wise decision on this cool evening. He probably did not bring a top coat, thinking it might be warm up here on the East Coast, and he went to the clubhouse, got him a Reds jacket just for protection.
Griffey to the gap in right center. Wilson going back. He'll look up. It's going for extra bases. Griffey will coast into second with a leadoff double. Griff doesn't want to mess around with singles.
Griff continues to hit the ball hard. Finally got a fastball up. He's watching the flight. He's watching Mookie. Mookie running out of room, plays it off of the wall. And Griffey coasting in.
So Kenny in scoring position. Let's see what the Reds can do in trying to take advantage of the situation. Jeff Reed 0 for 2 on the night.
That's a thinking bunt.
Griffey will move to third as Johnson throws on to Tuffle. 1 away.
Griff hesitated for a second. Reed did the job, though. He got it on the left side of Griffey, and it's sort of a rule that if the ball is hit to your left between you and the bag, you have to go, mainly because the shortstop is cutting across. He would have to turn and throw across or make a 360 to make that throw, and Griff hesitated just for a second to make sure it got by Darling, and went ahead, made it to third, and now it's up to Ronnie.
Oster has not made good contact tonight. He struck out his last at bat. His other appearance at the plate, he fouled out to then third baseman Howard Johnson. The Mets infield is drawn in for Oster. And they got him caught. Did he tag him? He might have been fouled.
Oh! He missed the tag.
Missed the tag the first time.
Well, he ran right by him, and Magadan lost the grip on the ball. Was not able to come up and tag him. And look here, he's got it, he's got it, he's got it, he doesn't have it. Griff says, all right, I'm just going to run by him. Magadan loses the grip on the ball. He doesn't have it. Griff says, I thought Bristol saying, get back. Tags him in the lid.
Score at 2-5. Griffey is out on a suicide squeeze attempt. 0-2 to Oster.
Said you didn't call him out. You know, and it's up to the umpire almost in that position to say, no, you didn't tag him.
Reds get nothing across. So we go to the bottom half of the 7th, 2-2 the score.
he's coming.
He'll be here. As long as I've known Tom. I need help, he's there.
We're still shorthanded.
Yep. Sure, I'm glad to see you.
Reckon you are.
Stay with you?
Figured you wouldn't mind.
And when the last stray's rounded up, you head for the mountains. Bush. And the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream.
Well, sure owe you one.
Line up the 8th spot. Will more than likely be Danny Jackson's final inning of work, although we'll have to wait and see. He will lead off, or is due to lead off, the bottom half of the 8th inning. Kent Tekulve was warming up a little bit earlier. Oh, 2 to Dave Magadan. That's upstairs. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
10 minutes for tonight's game. 29,396 paid. Their total in the house 31,493.
Check swing, foul ball. Count stays right there. 1 and 2. If you want the great taste of Bud Light, you got to make the best call of the night. Ask for a Bud Light, because everything else is just a light. Now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Johnny, did you see anything last inning that Jackson may have reverted back to some of the problems he had earlier in the season at all?
Well, only the one pitch he got up to Elster where he just overstrided a little bit. But I mean, you know, this is a good hitting ball club from the 1 through the 5-6 hitters. Mookie Wilson started off, and then he tried to throw strikes, got behind. The big thing was the walk to Howard Johnson, and Howard really battled Danny Jackson. In trouble, he got Strawberry, and then got another first pitch hitting by the Mets. Kevin McReynolds got the base hit, and that was both first pitches by Tuffle and by Kevin to drive in runs.
Tied at 2-all, and Magadan engaging in a battle himself with Danny Jackson. Count still remains 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, let's take a look. We'll just isolate Danny Jackson, and we'll see, especially his stride, if he's landing in a similar place where he was at the first part of the inning.
Bo Diaz hanging the signs. 2-2 pitch to Magadan. Now it's full.
Take a look at it as Magadan steps out for a second. Well, we don't have it. We'll get the next pitch for you.
Jeff Reed hanging the signs tonight. And again fouls it off.
We are ready this time. Okay, we'll watch the stride. See how starts to drift a little bit there. See, now he's landed out just a little farther. Starting to drift. He needs to stay back with that leg to give his arm time to catch up. And sometimes you get a little tired when you do that. That wasn't. See how he stayed back that time?
Due to not having done it in a while, does he have to remind himself, or
he's able to come over and drive through instead of throwing sort of uphill, that time up on top.
Sabo keeps it in front of him, and a good throw. Ander gave up 2 is Mookie Wilson. Wilson 1 for 3 tonight. Singleton scored in the 6th, thanks to the RBI to left field from Tim Tuffle. 1-1. Wilson and Dykstra, 2 leadoff guys that'll really set the table for you. Pretty good situation Davey Johnson finds himself in with those 2 guys. Rooms is there. 1-2-3 inning for Jackson. Good comeback, but an impressive outing for the Reds left-hander.
Excellent. Excellent start. He knows now that what he has done is corrected his problems. At least for this game, he threw like the old Danny Jackson. We'll take those outings.
Dave Collins laying down the bunt. Fielded well by Darling. One away.
Darling really agile around the mound. Very quick, very adept at fielding, and that ball, he wanted to get down the third base line to Magadan. And as rooms come, let's look at some National League scores. 4-0 final this afternoon in San Diego. The Cubs over the Padres. Rooms looks at a ball down. San Francisco 6, Pittsburgh 3. That's the final. Houston's coming back now. It's 4-3. That's in the bottom of the 7th up at Montreal. Swing and a miss by Rooms. Atlanta 1-0 in the 4th. Down in Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta over Philadelphia. St. Louis at Los Angeles later. And the Phillies will be coming in for a 3-game series into Riverfront tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Hope that weather holds off. Not a great forecast. Of course, after the game, get your own forecast from your local weatherman and get all the updates on the scores. We'll bring the American League to you at the bottom of the inning.
1-2 to Rooms. Popped it up. Drifting towards the line is McReynolds. And foul ground hauls it in for the second out. Chris Sabo 0 for 3 on the night. Two. Ron Darling has only allowed the Reds 5 hits tonight. Jackson allowed 3. The runs are even at 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
This suicide squeeze by Oster.
Strike 3. 1-2-3 for Ron Darling. New pitcher coming on for Cincinnati. 2-2 ball game in the middle of the inning is out. Norm Charlton is in.
And a record of 1-0 in that's his 11th game. 11 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 9 strikeouts. And starting May 14th and running through June 25th, it's the Valvoline Cincinnati Reds Pitching Change Challenge. And what this means that each time a Reds relief pitcher comes in the game, a contestant's name will be drawn. And if that relief pitcher strikes out the first batter he faces, then the contestant will win a Sony Watchman and other prizes. Plus, that contestant would be eligible to win a new 1989 Toyota 4+4 truck. For more game rules and details, see your participating Valvoline motor oil retailer or installer and watch for more details right here on the Cincinnati Reds television network starting May 14th.
Look forward to that. Charlton has Howard Johnson, Tim Tuffle, and Darryl Strawberry to look forward to here in the bottom half of the 8th. Johnson 0 for 1 has walked twice and scored a run. 0-1 pitch. Fly ball left field. Griffey is there. 1 out.
Norm scores. Cleveland defeats Kansas City 3-1. Toronto still shutting out California 2-0. That's now on the bottom of the 6th. 3-0 Milwaukee over Minnesota. Minnesota is having problems scoring runs now. You wouldn't believe that. Chicago, Boston, both Sox are on, but they're scoreless. They got both holds in them. New York 4, Texas 3. That's the bottom of the 2nd inning. Got a little wind blowing out down in Arlington. Maybe Barfield's making a difference. American League scores, and you're up to date. Charlton and Reed want to come talk, and after the ball hit by Howard Johnson, Reed had gone out to the mound to talk to Charlton about something halfway out there, and now all of a sudden they're talking about something else. And Norman's saying, I'm not sure I want to throw that pitch. I didn't throw it well in the bullpen. And he may just be telling Jeff Reed that.
Temporary skipper Tommy Helms taking some chances tonight. Run quite a bit. Tried the suicide squeeze, although it backfired.
Try to put some pressure on the catching game of the New York Mets, and the squeeze, an excellent call because the pitch was right there.
2 balls and a strike to Tim Teufel. Teufel an RBI single in that 2-run Mets 6th inning. Good pitch there on the outside corner. 2-2.
Charlton has not allowed an earned run in his last 8 relief appearances. He's trying to get Teufel and Strawberry on deck.
In the dirt. Count goes full. Strawberry. Three-2 delivery. Ball 4. First walk given up by Charlton. 4th all total in the ball game by Cincinnati pitching. Fans here at Shea Stadium well aware of the fact that Strawberry has homered in his last 2. Lefty versus lefty.
And a lefty warming up in the bullpen for the Mets. Randy Myers, their ace left-hander. They're really in a good situation with McDowell and Myers, lefty-righty.
0-2. Charlton ahead in the count.
Myers with 5 saves, McDowell with 4. And they certainly have a way of matching up with a lot of hitters. They're able to get both hitters out from both sides of the plate.
3 straight pitches. Charlton strikes out Strawberry. And now
last time after Strawberry was retired on an infield fly and immediately hit the first pitch for a base hit to drive and a run. Oster over to talk to Larkin about something, so Scotty must have had some information. They may have wanted to change signs. There's no reason to unless you got a center field camera looking in for signals.
We're in the bottom half of the 8th inning. 2-2 is our score. 2 are gone. Tim Teufel stands at first. Jeff Reed dropping the signs for Norm Charlton.
Looks like he came out to say, Charlton, make sure you watch Tim Teufel at first base. You know, they'd like to get a man in scoring position for Reynolds. If he gets thrown out, McReynolds would lead off the next inning. Teufel not much of a stolen base spread. He's not had an attempt thus far this year.
Charlton has yet to throw a pitch to the Mets left fielder, and an awfully good one, McReynolds, and they got him for a ball.
You want to be an umpire? He got down and he sort of started right back up. He just did not come set. Walking.
They will do just that. Going to put Kevin McReynolds aboard. This is a wise move. Why take your chances with the most deadly of all the Mets batters with a runner in scoring position when you have a rookie on deck?
And you got a more of obvious chance of having a force out at second base or at third base. More opportunities. Take the bat out of the big guy's hand. Make Jeffries produce.
So an intentional walk to Kevin McReynolds puts him at second and first.
Well, he got him concentrating long enough on Teufel that he
delivered an RBI single in last night's ball game. Comes up empty, strike 1.
Probably has a new bat up there, Tommy.
Third one tonight. He's thrilled to death. Janet Jackson's out of there. Charlton, 0-1 pitch. Ooh, got it upstairs. 1-1.
Well, he's chased that high fastball, but there's a lot of base hits up there. Trying to get him to go after it out of the strike zone.
1-1. Tuffle leads at second. McReynolds at first. Popped it up. Will it stay in play? Benzinger will have room. And that is it. Charlton worked himself into a bit of a jam, but gets out of it. We're going to the ninth. All even at Shea, 2-2. Bottom half of the 8th inning by the Mets.
And Franco will get up and warm up, hoping the Reds can score in this inning. Well, a lot of people happy to see Ron Darling out there. Tommy?
Sure are, Johnny. Darling decided before the season started he would donate $100 for each inning he pitches this season to the Hale House. That is a house for babies born addicted to drugs or infected with the AIDS virus. It's located over in Harlem. 25 innings coming into tonight. Tack on 8 more. And he has put in the ante so far over $3,300. Very worthy cause.
But it's certainly sad that these things happen, and awfully nice of Ron Darling.
0-2 the count to Larkin. Lifted towards right. Strawberry to grab, 1 out.
Meat of the order, Paul O'Neill, who's come through so many times this year. Maybe he can get one of those all-speed pitches hanging, or maybe he'll try to challenge him with a fastball. I can't see that because Darling hasn't done much of that all night.
And he misses low and away, ball 1. Randy Myers pretty much just hanging out down in the Mets bullpen in case he should be needed. Darling is due up in the next inning. 1-1. One pitch to Paul O'Neill, and got him. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, he's definitely not showing him that fastball.
Well, Darling has been impressive throughout. He's held the Reds to 5 hits and has spaced them out. A couple of base on balls, a couple of errors behind him.
Count even up, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He really stays on top. He doesn't rush his motion. Really deceptive with the arm. Of course, that's why he's had a lot of hitters out front. He just struck out 7 tonight.
2-2 to O'Neill. Will it be enough? Good play by Tuffle, and he threw it away. And a heads-up play by Gary Carter backing it up, not allowing Paul O'Neill to advance to second.
Catchers don't often back up because it's so far to run inning and after inning. You'll kill yourself if you try to. But on plays like this, when you see a first baseman or a second baseman have to throw off balance, that's when you really got to try to get in position. See the ball coming down towards the dugout, and the bottom of that picture, you just saw a glimpse of Gary Carter's helmet. He gets over. Now, if he hits the ball and knocks it over. But first, we'll show you that Keith Hernandez is in the game. He'll bat 9th. Tuffle will go to second base, and Randy Wild Thing Myers, I guess, with a 1-1 record, a 1.46 ERA, and Myers with 5 saves in 11 games. And Izzy, that's what they say. I want to know for sure, though.
That's right. We'll find out.
And Mitch Williams once had played in Chicago when he comes into the game.
Both those guys are certainly meet the criterion for being a wild thing. Myers starts off Benzinger with a ball. Todd has knocked in both Cincinnati runs tonight. O'Neill over at first has a stolen base, but now taking a look at a left-hander for the first time. Count evens up, 1 ball, 1 strike. And now a ball has been thrown from the stands and hit right behind the pitcher's mound. That came from the top deck.
Well, I guess the guy upstairs is mad at there. I guess somebody's playing his song and they say, that is mine. That is my property. I'll show you how to throw it. It's crazy. Boy, it's dangerous.
Myers stopped it with his foot and got the force on O'Neill.
Benzinger hits it right off the end of the bat, breaks his bat. And he said, where'd he go? Look at this. It stops right there. And he makes the play, makes a strike to Johnson, and a force play for the Reds, and a pinch hitter will come up to the plate to bat for Ken Griffey. It'll be Joel Youngblood. Joe, 3 out of 4 in his last appearances as a pinch hitter.
And the Reds pinch hitters all season have been swinging good bats. In their last 9 games, hitting at a .333 clip. Youngblood gets his first crack at it tonight.
Still has as many hits in his last 4 appearances as all the pinch hitters do against the Red staff. Pinch hitters hitting .083 against the Reds.
2 excellent bullpens by these 2 clubs. The Mets with more experience. Myers misses outside, ball 1. O'Neill still at first, or rather Benzinger now at first, after the force out on O'Neill at second base. 2 outs, top half of the 9th inning. We're tied at 2. Youngblood pinch hitting for Ken Griffey. Good pitch there in the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Youngblood now has 88 pinch hits in his career, 19th on the all-time list. Elmer Vallow and former Met Ed Kranepool next on the list with 90. Good time to move up one. Within 1 hit of tying them.
Got a piece straight back. So Myers ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes, and the Mets crowd will be starting it up very. One-two delivered. Go to Hernandez.
I think Myers likes the third base side of the mound. It seems to be a routine. All relievers have some idiosyncrasies of some sort. Here he goes again. After he threw over, he.
And again, Youngblood fouls it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two. We're in the bottom of the 9th. Gary Carter, Dave Magadan, Keith Hernandez for the Mets. One gone.
Hard to believe.
Worn the collar in this one. 0 for 4. Here's third baseman Dave Magadan. 0 for 1 in his only at bat. Charlton high and tight around the chin. Ball 1. Norm Charlton in his second inning of work. Danny Jackson went 7, allowed only 3 hits, 2 runs. Struck out 4 and walked 3. Rob Dibble starting to crank things up in the Cincinnati bullpen. The Mets bullpen is idle. The 1-1 to Magadan. 2 balls and a strike. Keith Hernandez on deck. Came in that double switch in the top half of the 9th inning, so he hits in the pitcher spot. The 2-1 from Charlton to Magadan. Right at Oster. And Reds 2, the Mets 2. Bottom half of the 9th. Charlton has knocked down the first 2 Mets to face him. And up steps the always dangerous Keith Hernandez. Hernandez had a good night last night, had a couple of base hits and scored a couple of runs. And just like Strawberry, gets him on the first 2 swinging. When in tight, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, he likes to line up the bat, line up the knuckles on his bat, on the hands. He used to look at them all the time. He doesn't look at them now.
Considered it for a moment. And now the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Norm Charlton asking for a new baseball. Keith casually reaches up there and makes the barehanded stab.
Kind of like a 3-ring circus up there, wasn't it? He flipped to Bruce, Bruce flipped to Jeff, Jeff flips to Norm. Whoa.
And Charlton punches him out right now. 1-2-3 inning for Norm Charlton. We're going to, and extra innings have treated the Reds pretty kindly so far this season.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Tom. The team undefeated in extra innings. It's been a good start. They played well, and the Reds, whenever they've scored first, are perfect as well. So a lot of things going in their favor. Myers on the mound for the New York Mets, trying to hold the Reds right there, and he'll face Bo Diaz, who will come up and pinch hit for Jeff Reed, followed by Ronnie Oster, and then more than likely a pinch hitter. Good effort by Charlton if that is the case, and Charlton would be 3rd in the order.
Bo batting in 190. He has come to the plate 3 times in a pinch hitting role and has yet to get a base hit. Be a pretty good time to snap that string right about now. Magadan hugging the line down at 3rd base. Misses up high, ball 1. Some room in between the shortstop and 3rd baseman.
Hernandez also is in the line.
The 1-0. And now 2 balls and no strikes. And he's missed with the first 3. After Bo, it'll be Ronnie O. Tommy Helms taking charge, letting him know that if Diaz should get on, there's 3-1. What they might be thinking about doing. That's why Magadan's there. Guard against the line. Throw over to the 10th inning. 1 out, deadlocked at 2. Pretty good guy to have on the mound if you're Davy Johnson.
Well, he's able to use him effectively with Roger McDowell. He can go back and forth. He's effective, as we talked about earlier, against left and righties because he just throws hard. And of course, McDowell has that super sinker. He tried to change his delivery to get the ball sinking more. He dropped down thinking that would help, and it was actually better on top. So he can go with Myers a couple innings, then come back with McDowell the next night, or even tonight.
The second batter in a row, he's fallen behind. Now it's 2 balls and no strikes.
Myers has not had too many stints longer than 2 innings. In 11 appearances, he's only had 12 1/3 innings.
2-1. Tuffle, Hernandez.
Both ball clubs, they've been so effective that you know, you start thinking you could be here all night. That's your Manny Trio will come out to hit for Norm Charlton, who turned in a couple of good innings, got in trouble in the 8th inning, walked a couple, one intentionally, and retired Craig Jeffries to end the inning. Franco is in the bullpen in a rare situation, although Dibble now is walking in from the bullpen. So Franco is warming up in case the Reds were to score, then he would come on. Right now Dibble has completed his, and he is walking in as he did last night, a little early to get a little bit of a rest and not have to come in across the outfield grass.
Trio 500 as a pinch hitter, 1 for 2. And Myers starts him with a strike. Manny started last night's ball game at second base in place of Ron Oster, and was 0 for 3. One ball, 1 strike. Man, he really does get it up there. Who?
Not as hard as Rob Dibble, but very effective. Got good movement on the fastball.
Did not miss the outside corner by much. 2 balls and 1 strike. Myers appeared in 55 games last season. An outstanding 172 on run average. And outside, ball 3. Well, he's certainly dancing around the corners.
Well, he's gotten behind all the hitters so far in this inning and come back to retire them.
Count goes full. Three-2 pitch. Got him looking. Go to the bottom half of the 10th. Dibble, bottom half of the 10th inning. Rob Dibble now on the mound for Cincinnati.
And Rob did a nice job last night, a couple of innings. And he's on in relief here. And a good effort by Norm Charlton in relief. Dibble 3-0. Rob was involved in a meeting this afternoon with the new president of the National League. There on your left, Bill White, and Gene Orza, I believe his name is. He's a representative of the Council for the Baseball Players. That was earlier this afternoon, and it was in relationship to the brushback pitch, the pitch he threw near Willie Randolph's head. And a beat writer in Los Angeles came in the middle of a conversation, wrote an article, and as a result, Dibble was fined for it, and he just wanted to have his say so. He said, if I'm fined, I understand. But Bill White he said was just very pleasant to talk to, and whatever his decision is fine.
Last time Mookie Wilson led off an inning, the Mets came up with 2 runs off Danny Jackson in the 6th. He's ahead in the count of Dibble, 2 balls, no strikes. And there, a heater on the inside corner, 2-1.
Well, as Griffey was hit for, we got Youngblood staying in the game, and of course that happened at the end of last inning. Bo Diaz, the hitter for Reed, stays in.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Wilson swings and misses.
Charlton, a couple innings, 2 base on balls, and a couple of strikeouts. Stranded a couple.
Gas from Dibble.
Johnson.
Well, we saw Howard Johnson turning the fastballs quickly around on Danny Jackson. Few people can throw a fastball by Howard Johnson. He is really strong on the upper body and is just a dead fastball hitter. Ask Todd Worrell, who has one of the better fastballs in the National League. Let's see, the fastballs, not the first pitch fastballs. They're going to start throwing some sliders, mixing them in.
Hit well to right center field.